Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, and this is Cluster API office hour meetings. Before starting, usual call out that we follow the CNCF code of conduct, so be kind with each other. If you want to speak, use the raise hand feature. I will do my best to give time to speak to everyone, and I will also try to follow the chat, but if I'm missing something, don't hesitate to speak up. Last point, we have an agenda doc. I already posted the link to the agenda doc in the Zoom chat. If you cannot access the agenda doc, you have to join the SIG cluster Lifecycle mailing list in order to see and being able to edit the document. Before starting, also please a reminder to add your name at attendee list, so we keep track of everyone joined with the meeting. And with that, we can kick off the meeting by welcoming new attendees. So if there are new folks attending this meeting for the first time or wanting to introduce themselves, please feel free to speak up. Okay, I don't see hand raised. In the meantime, I thank you everyone for adding their name in the attendee list. So let's keep going. So we don't have open proposal readouts to talk about. Yeah, maybe there are good work going on feature group, but we will give an update later. So let's move quickly to discussion topics. So we have only one pretty light agenda for today from Mohammed. Please go on.
Hi, everyone. So it's like following up on the discussions we had last meeting about migrating the machine pool API from experimental API to stable API. So like I looked again to the BR that is proposed to moving the APIs, and like I'm realizing it will be tough to do upgrade if we make this move without like find a way to for end user to migrate the machine pool API from stable as well to from experimental to stable. So just I want to discuss how we can do that. Should we keep both API exist and then we make like a deprecation API cycle to release, for example, or we can provide like a tool for end user to migrate their running environment to the stable API as we move the API. Because in the situation as for today, if we just move the API, it will break any running environment. Like every running environment would be hard to do upgrade. They need to move the custom resource they have already running in their cluster whenever. So yeah, so that's the main purpose of this topic. Any thoughts, any idea?
I see Stefan with the hand raised, so maybe you can answer.
Yeah, I think we might have a misunderstanding there, or maybe not. So I'm not sure how end users would be affected, because the API today is already in the correct API group. It is already in the correct API version. I think the PR is mainly talking about moving or source code from one folder to another, but end users should not be aware of this. So I might be missing something, but it shouldn't affect them. I mean, I know people who are importing or Go types, they are affected because they have to move from like one import to another, but those are not our end users. But yeah, maybe I'm missing something, not sure.
Yeah, so for the running environment, so I have a cluster, is already running. and it have like a bunch of clusters and machine pool created.
Yeah.
This machine pool will be under the experimental API path.
No. So there's a difference between the Go package that we have and where it is in Kubernetes. And the location where it is in Kubernetes is basically just defined by the API group we have. And that API group is already the final one. So that API group is like our regular core API group. And that won't change. Yeah.
So that's mean then if I have a machine pool custom resource created in my cluster, and then I upgrade the cluster API deployment after we move this API, my custom resource my machine pool custom resource should still up and running without any problem.
Yes. Yeah. The way I understand the PR today, it's about moving Go code. And I'm not aware of anything which touches the CRD. So after we move the code around, the CRD object that we create should still be identical to what it is today. And that means that users, in a running cluster, you won't see the difference.
Well, okay, then if that's the case, so then shouldn't be an issue with the running environment.
So can you repeat or explain that? I'm not sure I follow.
Well, I'm just understanding what you just said. So it sounds like there shouldn't be an issue if we just move the API in the Golang, like in the Git repo, and then the same path will be applied. But okay.
The path is not visible in anything that you deploy in Kubernetes. It's only visible if you look at our source code.
Yeah, okay.
That's the main thing here, why it should not matter at all. For end users.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for clarifying this. Okay, I was just wondering if it might be broke the current running environment, but that if it's the case, then so that should be okay. But
yeah, I mean, I might be missing something. I didn't review the PR yet, but my understanding is essentially we're overall moving it from one folder to another, plus minus some documentation updates. I don't know what, but we're not touching anything which affects the CRDs we create. So the CRD we generate, that's the main thing here. We look at the machine pool CRD, which is already below. So the CRD we generate is already below config. So if you look in the source code repo config/CRD something, there is already machine pool in there. And even after that PR, it should still be there, same location, same content.
that should be okay.
Yeah. Maybe just to add to this point in general, I think what we're not necessarily done yet with is basically deciding if we are going to move this let's say at which time we are moving this from experimental to stable. So I have a to-do on my side that I'm not getting to, which is basically revisiting things like the machine pool, machines proposal, and some other stuff to basically identify the difference between what we have today and what we were talking about in the past, what should be in machine pools. And once that list is there, I think we should discuss essentially how much of that should be implemented before we call this stable or not. Or before we do that move from experimental to stable.
And then one more question. So then after moving the API to be stable, so then the flag for the feature gate flag for machine pool will be by default true.
It is already by default true, actually.
Yeah, okay.
So the missing step on the feature gate is that we eventually drop the feature gate. I mean, today it's per default true, and people can still disable it. But at some point, just the entire feature gate should stop existing. And yeah, code would just behave as it behaves today when the feature gate is set to true after it's gone. I don't know if that reflects roughly your opinion as well. Fabrizio, thanks for writing it up.
Yeah, I was writing down, but this is my understanding as well. So we already graduated. I think that we are talking about machine pools, because we are different experiments. So for machine pools, we already graduated it to beta. It is already always on. Okay. So what we have to do is the final step. The final step will encompass three actions. Basically, we are going to move machine pool to GA. We are going to drop the feature gate, and we are going to basically shuffle the code around to remove it from the experimental folder. Okay, all these operations should not break or change in any way the generated CRDs. This is my expectation as well. And so no migration should be required for user, no particular impact should happen. Only the forks that are importing Golang types will have to basically change the package where they import from. But this should be an easy and straightforward change. But I agree with Stefan, before calling a thing GA, it is important that we go through our backlog, our proposal, everything that is related to the feature, and make sure that we are not leaving stuff behind, basically, before calling it GA. Otherwise, we will need another iteration in beta. Does this answer to your question, Mohammed?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it helped a lot actually. Yeah, so just I was checking the BR. It's actually a very long BR, it's 100 files, so that's maybe confused me a bit. Yeah, but it's really answered my question. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. We made that mistake in the past, basically having a CRD in a way experimental. That would be a breaking change to make it not experimental anymore. That was actually machine pools, but that was already fixed up like a year or two ago.
That's not
Okay, so thank you, Mohammed, for your question. Thank you, Stefan, for helping answering. Let's move to the next one, Amit.
Hi, Fabrizio. So this issue recently, I was discussing with you in the back end about kind of proposal to take over the existing non-copy clusters. So I went through the comments that you have mentioned there. I just wanted to get more opinion or feedback from the community on this, the proposal that I have here, and any input to get it forward here from me.
Do you want to? So since this is let me say, topic that pop-ups every now and then, do you want to give some more detail about how do you think that we can solve this problem? Basically, describe what is written here in the proposal, in your issue.
Yeah, so I will try to explain it. So basically, see, currently when you do the cluster launch, right, using copy, so we go with the initialization phase, then your etcd initialization, and then join operation and all that. So proposal here is, if we make if we make changes to the copy flow at the bare minimum and make it aware of divergence, a small divergence from the existing flow where we initialize. Instead of that, if we have some annotation or flag that represents that this particular cluster launch is about the takeover instead of going for the initialization. So basically overwriting this KCP initialization condition. With that, if we able to join the existing cluster and we put our CP nodes, what we will have is we will be merging our a fresh node which is created by copy and controlled by copy, and then from there onwards we can migrate all the workload to a CP or the worker node that we have on we are creating using copy deployments, and then release the old nodes. So in that way, the logic behind not discovering all the components and resources of the existing cluster is, it could be a complicated one based on each environment, each different cloud providers and the cluster, how the cluster is configured. Instead of maintaining and putting the dummy machines or trying to understand the existing machines, we remove those. And before removing the old nodes, we put our copy created CP nodes, which is completely managed by copy. And that's how like we can migrate the existing cluster. And from there onwards, we can do our day one, day two operations easily. So that's the basic user story here. So what I have done is I have used one annotation, say which represents a cluster type of takeover cluster. Based on that, if that annotation is there, Kube controller manager will, instead of going for initialization option, it will understand that the etcd is the external, and instead of initializing the first node, control plane node, it will go for the join operation. And to perform that, there will be few prerequisites like providing the existing certificates, CA certificates, and Kube configurations that we have to manage. Copy will read the secrets, assume that it's already there, so it will not create the new one, and it will perform the join operations. So it will be a pretty straightforward from that part, how you inject your new nodes there, and then you do the node operation and complete the takeover part.
First of all, thank you for bringing up this topic again. Two quick comments before passing the word to Stefan. So this approach is something that I already prototyped and demoed some time ago. And so if you want, you can look at this demo. And second, a clarification. If I got it right from your explanation, and this was also a limitation of my demo, is that this limited to cluster API implementation that use kubeadmin, and more specifically KCP. Sorry, so, that use to cluster generated with kubeadmin, and where the target is using kubeadmin. Sorry, I expressed this not improperly, not properly. Is that correct, Amit?
Can you repeat your question?
Sorry, you're lagging.
Can you repeat it again? I lost the audio.
Okay, so I think that the proposal that you are described as a limitation. The limitation is that the migration we are talking about is only from a cluster that has been spin up with kubeadmin that targets a cluster API cluster that is using KCP. So it's not fully generic, it's only for a specific incantation of cluster API.
Kind of currently, yes, that is the target right now. The cluster is created with the Kube admin, but what the requirement that we have from the pre-existing cluster is only the Kubernetes PKI certificates. Other than that, we can manage other parts. So,
okay.
So if you,
Stefan?
That's the only existing part that we will require. Other than that, mostly we can manage it ourselves.
Stefan?
Okay. Yeah, I'm mostly wondering how we're going to support this, because I'm not sure how we can scope down what exactly we're solving and what happens if people are having slightly different setups and it doesn't work. And we have a lot of effort on trying to support people with that. I don't know if everything that you can do today with kubeadim is also compatible to everything we can do with KCP. That's one thing. Also, I could imagine there are a bunch of edge cases. So I don't know if you talked about it or you talked about it before, but I think it's not as easy as just joining a new node, because I think what KCP is also, so I think KCP today doesn't really like it if there are additional etcd members that it doesn't really know about, right? So we also need like a hex somewhere there. And I don't know what else. So yeah, I'm really wondering about like, how can we scope this down specifically to exactly this thing is supported? How can we test this properly so that it actually works? How can we support this if people are just doing some stuff and telling us, oh, yeah, sorry, it doesn't work here? Yeah, I'm not sure we can make this a supported feature in a good way with a clear scope.
Yeah, I think that I sort of agree. And then I let Amit to comment. In the past, this issue or the similar problem never got addressed for a couple of reasons. Mostly because, and the reason is that the problem is huge, and it really it is doable, solvable in a specific context. And I don't know, Mercedes folks did this very well and shared publicly the reference, all the documentation, etc., etc. But they had a very specific story and very specific context to solve, and the solution was tailored on their infrastructure provider and their on the infrastructure they had before, etc., etc. So
Yeah,
solving this
was much more extensive than just joining new nodes. So there was a lot of moving parts involved to get something over, because it's also infrastructure that has to be adopted and not just kubeadim nodes to be joined. Sorry.
Yes, so it was a tailor-made solution, and we know this is possible. What we always struggle is to find a generic solution. Okay, and this generic solution, as let me say, needs, in order to happen, needs to have three elements that Stefan quoted. One is a scope, because the problem is huge, and we cannot basically eat the elephant in only one lunch. So we have to scope it down. Second, we have to find a way to support and make it testable without adding too much complexity to the existing code. Stefan was bringing up some issue that I faced when I did the demo. So when in the moment that you join an existing cluster, KCP will get crazy. We start telling, oh, I have a TCD member that I do not expect. We'll try to delete them, etc., etc. And so, and reporting about cluster state will go crazy. So it is doable, but it's going to touch. It's not so simple. It's going to touch many different parts of the code. So yeah. It is a complex topic. It will be great to solve it, but we have to make sure that to solve this issue, we do not introduce regression.
I agree.
Okie dokie. Thank you again for bringing out the topic. So we are at the end of our agenda. I have two quick updates that I think that are worth, a couple of quick updates that are worth to share. The first one is that discussion for the in place feature group is moving on, making good progress. Guillermo is working to finalize a document that will be shared with the community. I also know that Mike is making progress on the Carpenter feature group, which is which is good. Everything Mike do is recorded and added to the playlist. So I kindly, if you are interested, please take a look. And yeah, the last one is quick heads up. So we sort of discussed a couple of times in this meeting that it is important to start looking at what will come next for Cluster API because yeah, we have a bunch of experimental feature that we want to graduate and we want to continue our path to the V1 API. And so we already took some step during this year to make this moving. The first one was to write a Cluster API manifest. The second one was to go through a full backlog review to make sure that we have on the radar everything is important. And I'm starting, so the heads up is I'm starting the some next step, and I'm starting to write down some sort of document proposal about how to evolve some stuff in Cluster API. I'm focusing currently on resource status and conditions, and yeah, I hope to share this document soonish with the community, but I don't give a date because bandwidth is what it is. So yeah, just an heads up. If you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me. That's all. If you, Stefan.
Yeah, maybe just a random note. I think it's a good idea to not give dates, but we have code freezes coming up. That's just FYI for everyone here. I think it should be roughly like in 3 or 4 weeks. So if you are aiming to get something in the next release, considering review bandwidth, yeah, should be surfaced soon to get it up and reviewed in time for the release.
Oh, thank you very much. The good crowd. So the document I was talking about is more long term, but your call out is more short term and well focused. So yeah, code phrase is coming. So brace up and take action accordingly. So if there are no follow-up questions, I will give everyone some time back. So I will continue updating the note with the last sentences, with the last point of the that we discussed. And that's all. So thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Okay.